Today, I'm fishing a lake I've never seen before, and I have zero information about it. I'm going to show you how I figure out a brand new lake and try and catch some fish. But there's a twist. I don't even know which lake I'm fishing yet. I'll spin this wheel with a bunch of lake options on it. Whatever lake it lands on, that's where I'm going. From that moment, I'll have to do some quick research, pack all my gear, then hit the water the next morning. The goal? Break down the lake and try and catch a limit of bass. Do you think I can pull it off? So we're here at the desk getting ready to kick off today's challenge. I'm very excited for this episode because I love just going to new lakes and trying to figure out the fish without any information. So we have 5 lakes loaded up on this little wheel here that we're going to spin. I've never been to any of them. We have Donegal Lake, Woodcock Lake, Green Lick Lake, High Point Lake, and Edinburgh Lake. I just picked 5 that I've never been to that are nearby my house. We're gonna spin this and then I'm gonna show you exactly what research I do before I go to the lake. So we're gonna look at maps, we're gonna look at what the lake has in it so we know what gear to pack. So let's bring you in close and see which one we end up on here and show you how to break down that lake quickly once you know the name of where you're actually fishing. We're gonna hit shuffle a couple times here just to make sure that I didn't get this set the way I wanted it. And we're ready to spin. So let's see where we're going to go tomorrow. Looks like we're going to Edinburgh Lake. So I guess we're gonna go see what Edinburgh Lake is all about. So let me walk you through how I actually do that to help me catch the most fish when I get to a body of water. Okay, so the first thing that I do before I do anything else is I literally just Google the lake. So we're just gonna go to Edinburgh Lake and we're gonna kind of see what we got. So weather, you could look at that for tomorrow. It looks like it's gonna be 70 degrees and sunny. That's just a quick peek at it. I already know kind of what the weather is in this general vicinity. What I will do though, and I'll open it in maps, so that I can take a satellite image look of this lake and see what it looks like. It looks like there's a lot of docks. Actually, there's not that many docks. There's a handful over here, there's a handful up here. So I know I could do some dock fishing. There is a ton of lily pads and grass and all kinds of stuff up in here that you could fish. So we definitely need to have some weedless baits with us, and we definitely need to have some dock baits. And there's a river that goes up in here. I don't know if this is an inflow or outflow. Looking from here, right here, it looks like this is an outflow. So if it's an outflow, probably not going to play. Inflow up here could play. You want that colder water coming down for the fall. So some of these fish might be migrating up into some of these. Just to double check what I was looking at on the lake, and I'll go to Navionics web app, and then I'll find Edinburgh Lake on the map, and I'll turn on this sonar chart so that we can see what the depth of the water looks like in here. You're going to be able to go up into this arm of the creek and this arm of the creek. This stuff might all be a little too shallow to fish, or it's just not mapped. These docks look like they have some depth on them along with these ones, but these ones in these bays look a little shallow. There's no offshore structure whatsoever. I don't see any humps, ledges. Most likely we're probably gonna go beat the bank first rather than fish offshore. Also, there is some depth in this outflow out here, so there's a possibility there could be fish in that too. So this is probably gonna be a prime area. These docks are probably gonna be good, and this little stretch up in here could be good. Every state should have something like this. You might have to call your Fish and Boat Commission or whatever you might have to do, but they will survey all of these lakes. That's where your fishing license fees go. They'll survey the lakes and see what's in there and give reports. That's how they generate what they should stock in the lake and how they maintain them. 2016, muskellunge and bass. So they just surveyed it about 10 years ago. It's the most recent one we have, but that's going to be what we have to work with. We have walleye, muskie, tons of bluegill, 1,260 bluegill that they caught, but they were all very big ones, so you can also probably fish a big bluegill looking lure. Golden shiners, almost as much as many of the bluegills. Golden shiner is usually thought to be a Florida fishery forage. Right here, there's a ton of them in this lake right here. So I can bring some of those golden shiner baits that I like to use, and they might be able to work here as well. There's some bowfin, suckers, stuff like that, your general stuff. There is smallmouth and largemouth. They caught both of them. So that is something to take note of. We could catch both species tomorrow. Now I will scroll down just a little bit further because they actually do a night survey for Pennsylvania. The night survey, you can see it's actually kind of a declining lake. So 1998, they had almost a 70 bass per hour catch. Same 60s bass per hour, up to about 70 again. 2016, it declined to about 50. And then looking at the picture of these bass that they caught here, they're not very large. They're usually gonna hold up the biggest fish to make the best report. So if that's some of the biggest fish that they caught there, we know that we're not really fishing for very large fish tomorrow. So I can also scale my baits accordingly when I'm presenting to these fish. So now that we know all this, we know that we need to have bluegill and golden shiner colored weedless lures on, and we're gonna be fishing for largemouth and smallmouth bass. We're gonna run down to the garage, we're gonna rig up some rods and get ready for tomorrow morning. We're gonna show you what all we tie on so that we know how we're prepared for tomorrow. So now that we know what this lake is about, we quickly rigged up a few rods just to get us started for tomorrow. There's a lot of other tackle that we're taking with us, weedless baits, all kind of stuff we talked about, just in case we need to change to something else throughout the day. Now, the reason I'm showing you this, just the quick start lineup, it's going to change throughout the day. I'm almost positive of it. It does every single trip. You think you're gonna catch them on one thing and it changes to something else. But I also wanna show you what I put on and why I did it. So on this side of the boat, I have all reaction baits. So I have whopper plopper, and I also have a swim jig, a spinner bait, and a glide bait. So these are all things that I can cover a ton of water with, find where those fish are, even stuff with like the glide bait. If the water's clear enough, I can see the fish follow it and know they're in the area. That's all I wanna do as soon as I get to the lake tomorrow, just to find where those fish are. That's the key to starting off for tomorrow. That's the best way to try and find fish and get a limit quickly. Now, once I start to dial those fish in and see where they're at, I have a couple baits on this side of the boat that will help me find those fish a little bit better or catch more of those fish to end up getting our limit or some bigger fish in the boat. I have a little finesse flipping jig on here, so if we see any of those docks, we can fish that around those docks along with the wacky rig. Those are two excellent dock baits. If there's some offshore stuff, I don't know if there is, grass or anything like that, I have a drop shot so we can catch some fish doing that. And then those pad fields that we saw up on that north end of the lake, I have a 1/2 ounce flipping weight with a beaver on there. A lot of that stuff I can't even get through those pads up there, so if I want to go explore those, this is not only my slow down bait, but it's also my search bait, so I can cover a lot of water with this as well. So basically that's the starting setup. I have a little bit of everything on to try and cover any possible scenario that could come up tomorrow, but also not lock myself into one thing, and that's the biggest thing when you're trying to find these fish. Don't get locked into one thing, keep an open mind, try a little bit of everything, let the fish tell you what you need to do. Now, in order to show you how to do that, we got to go to the lake tomorrow, so we will see you in the morning at Edinburgh Lake, ready to get this thing started. And before we head out to the lake, if you could head down below and hit the subscribe button. Only 14% of you that watch the channel are actually subscribed, and I'm trying to reach that 100,000 subscriber goal, so if you could help me out with that, that would be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's go get some sleep and head to Edinburgh Lake in the morning. So we just made it out to Edinburgh Lake here, and we are about to get today started, but first we have to do the most important step of this entire process, which is just take a second and look around the lake and see what all information we can gather, in addition to what the research we've already done, to help us give us the best chance for success today. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put 15 minutes on the timer to give myself enough time to look around the lake. It doesn't matter whether you're in a pond, creek, river, lake, whatever you have, electronics, no electronics, take 15 minutes and just look around the lake when you show up. We're gonna be using the electronics today. I'm just gonna side scan around, but I'm also just gonna be idling around the lake to see what I can find. Like right here, there's a bunch of lily pads up on the bank up here. I put the boat in the water up by the dock, and I could tell it was extremely shallow up by those docks right there. So those ones are probably off limits. Another thing I see right off the bat is the water clarity is really dirty, so that might eliminate some of our bait choices. But let's get 15 minutes on the timer. I'll walk you through what I'm looking for as I go around the lake here. Then we're gonna get 6 hours on the timer and try and put all the clues together, all the research, all the rigging, everything we've done to try and catch the most fish. So we have our 15-minute timer ready to go here. It's not gonna be a lot of time, but it's enough for us to get some ground knowledge of what we're gonna be working on. Let's go ahead and hit start and crank the motor up and get rolling here. I do this with literally every place I ever go to. I don't care whether it's a pond, a lake, whatever, like I talked about. If it's a pond and you don't have electronics, walk around the bank is what I usually do. I'll take a lap around and try and see what I can find. Today we have 66.5 water temperature, so that could actually be pretty good for today. The fall transition usually happens around that 68 to 62 range is where those fish start to push shallow. They start to get back up on this stuff again and being able to catch them. One thing I am noticing right here is an absolute million stumps. I mean, they're everywhere right here. The other thing I'm noticing is there is a ton of lily pads, which we saw on satellite imaging, but there is so many lily pads that there's probably a good opportunity with how many largemouth are in this lake. There's probably going to be some fish in some of those pads. Now, the one thing I would look for with those pads, which we'll do when we actually go fish them, is find the deeper spots, whether there's a channel that it rubs up against or anything like that. That's what you're going to want to actually look for. There's some rocky bank up here. This actually looks pretty solid. It has a little bit of wind, a little bit of shade, and some rocks. So those are all good areas that these fish could be. There's some big laydowns up here. And this actually looks to be the steepest bank on the entire lake right here. So I have a feeling this is probably going to be a very good starting point for us. So I idled into that deeper water and there was absolutely nothing out there. I mean, just a complete barren wasteland. As soon as I get up here into 8 foot again, there's a bunch of stumps. It seems that our best chance today is going to be to stay in that shallower depth of water. We're probably going to be fishing no deeper than 8 foot today. I mean, not only are the fish wanting to transition shallow because the water's getting cooler and the fish can actually move up there, but also you just have so much structure and cover for them to live on up in the shallow water where you don't have that out deeper there. And our time's up. So we're gonna make our way over to that spot because that is where we thought was the best area on our little walkthrough. So we're gonna run right over there and we're gonna go ahead and get the camera set up and get started. All right, we are ready to go. We just got to our bank here. We have 6 hours on the timer, which gets started right now, and we have 0 on the scale. We gotta try and catch us a limit using all the information that we have now put together for the day. We're gonna start the morning off with a top water just because I feel like that is probably going to give us the best chance getting a bite or at least a clue. That's the main thing we're trying to look for to start with here. We need clues. We're gonna see if there's any shallow fish that kind of want to top water. We're probably looking for like the most aggressive fish right now. If they come off the wood, even though it's shallow wood, there's 2 pieces on this bank. If we get bites on that, then that might clue us in that, okay, that was easy. I was not expecting that. We got our first one, and it's a nice one. Dude just smoked that whopper plopper. As I was saying though, if we catch them off the wood, then it might clue us in that they're on that offshore wood. He bit that right away, and I don't know if he was even on anything. Doesn't look like there's anything up there, but he smoked the plopper, and I'll take it. I love to get started early like that and catch a nice one. It's not a giant, but we got one on the board. We got 149 for our first fish, so we're gonna go ahead and let him go. And we're gonna get back in there. I could tell this bank had the least amount of wind on it. It still has shade on it, so you can still catch them on a top water. Although in the fall, you can pretty much catch them on a top water all day. And it had rock, and it was the deepest bank on the entire lake. So it had the steepest drop off, which means that they can live offshore and slide up early in the morning to feed. We put all that together and we ended up with a fish right off the bat. So I'm gonna keep rolling with the whopper plopper here for a little bit and see if we can get us some more. But that was awesome to get started that early. There's another one. Second one of the day on the whopper plopper. That one's not gonna be a keeper. I can't believe he tried to eat that. Dude's micro. 2 fish running the bank with the whopper plopper now, just a little guy on that one. But we both of them were within reach of both pieces of these wood. Now they weren't directly on them, but it's also shady and morning time, so they might roam around and then later in the afternoon get on these pieces of wood, like actually in them, and just hang out. All just speculation right now, trying to put clues together till the fish really tell me what they're doing. But with what they're giving me so far, that would be my guess. They kind of roam this bank, and then in the afternoon they go and actually hang out on these pieces of wood. So I've been fishing this plopper for a while now without another sniff, so I think we're gonna change it up a little bit. I'm seeing tons of these stumps out here. I think we just had the perfect conditions this morning when we rolled up on that spot. There just happened to be a couple fish up there feeding, but I'm seeing tons and tons and tons of these stumps out here. There's bait all in them, so there's gotta be some fish in them too. So we're gonna try the spinnerbait a little bit and see if I can slow roll it through some of these stumps and get any bites. And then if that doesn't work, we might try some finesse baits in them, like a jig or a drop shot or something like that, because there's most definitely gotta be some fish in these things. Okay, no bites on the spinnerbait, but these stumps look really good. I'm seeing bait in them. So we're gonna try the drop shot, one of my favorite stump fishing baits of all time. I've been spending quite a bit of time on these stumps and I can't get anything to bite. So I don't know if they're just not there or if they're not biting the bait that I want, but we're gonna go up the lake to where we found all those other ones and see if there's anything on that. So there's actually another shaded bank with some wood and rock right here with a steep drop. So I'm gonna throw this whopper plopper just a little bit, see what happens. And while we're going, I'm gonna be looking at these brush piles out here to the left of me and really see if there's any fish or bait in them that really draws me over to those more than this. I was seeing a lot more bait in those brush piles. There's not a lot of bait or anything up on the bank. It's not like running away from my whopper plopper or doing any of that stuff that's really keying me in that the bait is up here. And considering that it's fall transition, the bass are gonna be where the bait is. So if they're around the stumps, they should be in the stumps. It just might be figuring out what bait they wanna bite there, or who knows. Or maybe we go up in the pads and they're way back up in there. We haven't even explored in there yet, so that's always an opportunity. Right now, I'm just waiting for the fish to tell me this is the deal. It just looks like there's so much more life out there on those. Let's try and fish them a little bit. Oh, that was a fish. I just shook him off. Why did I do that? There's so much brush right here. There's gotta be a fish in this. There's one. No! Oh, this is really not good. We have not had a single bass bite, I would say. We've had a couple little nibbles. I think they're bluegills. But we haven't had a single bass bite since we started. We literally caught one on our second cast keeper and haven't caught anything since, besides that one short one. It has been brutal out here. Right now, I'm literally just fishing anything, just trying to get a clue of something these fish are trying to do. If we can start to dial something in, then we can work on that and develop a pattern off of it. But right now, I don't have anything to work off of. The whopper plopper hasn't been working anymore on the couple places we've tried it. So I really don't have much to go off of right this second. There is a bank right here with a bunch of stumps up on the bank. So I think we're gonna try this real quick and see if there's anybody home. I know there's one thing that the fish will eat no matter how tough the fishing is. The wacky rig. Not really seeing anything there. I think we might go flip some pads. These pads don't look too great, but we're gonna roll with it for now. Throw a few casts in it, you never know. Sometimes this terrible looking water can actually hold fish. It just depends on where they like to be in that lake. I'm gonna just basically try and hit all these isolated patches, because if there's going to be fish in them, they'll be, the most aggressive ones will be in the isolated stuff. And then if you catch one or two, then you could venture into the other stuff if you really feel like it, but I don't wanna get way deep in there if they're not in there. It got very cold out here. There's a strong, strong wind blowing in here. It's got some cold air coming off of it. The water temp is 2 degrees colder than the rest of the lake back in here. So I don't know that this is gonna be the place they wanna be, especially as the temps are dropping quickly. So I think we're probably gonna be making a move. I'm gonna take a few more flips in here, but I think we're gonna have to go back down and make a move. Okay, so we made us a little move. It is very cold. I had to put my hoodie back on, my sweatpants, but I'm gonna pick the top water back up and we're gonna go down this bank. We're in this little canal little area here. There's a ton of wood up on the bank. There's a chance if they wanted to be on that wood earlier today, that they might also want to be around this stuff now. This is also some deep water access through here because it's the outflow canal. So I'm thinking there's a chance that there might be some fish. It seems like a place that some residential fish could live, which is kind of what I'm looking for right now. Like the perfect, oh gosh. Like the perfect cast would be right down the edge of this log, like that. Bring it all the way down that side. Oh gosh. Wow. Oh my gosh, it's a freaking tank. It's a freaking tank. Please don't come off. Oh my gosh. That's one of the biggest Pennsylvania bass I've ever caught if I catch this thing. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. Come here. I got her. I got her. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. On the whopper whopper plopper who is calling me right now. That is one of the biggest bass I have ever caught in Pennsylvania, probably. That is an absolute tank. I literally called that cast. I couldn't have called that any better. That's gotta be close to 6 pounds. That's absolute meat. Oh my gosh. Look at that thing. 544, one of the biggest largemouth I have caught this year. He's not as big as I thought he was, but that is a giant. We have 693 for 2 fish. What a beauty. One last look at her. We're gonna let her go and get back to it. Now that all the excitement's out of the way, let's get back to business and see if we can do that again. I highly doubt we're gonna catch another almost 6 pounder, but we're gonna try at least. That was a completely unexpected catch. Completely unexpected. We literally were talking about when we did the research. Well, I might have just ruined that GoPro. Too excited, I'm killing myself here. We were talking about how the fish are very small in this lake from what we were seeing on that research that they've done. Granted, not all of those are 100% correct every single time. Sometimes they might have just picked a bad day that the fish weren't up shallow when they were electroshocking or something like that. So they're not always 100% correct, but that report showed that there wasn't many big fish in this lake. So I don't know if that was a complete fluke or what, but I mean, we literally fished that log over there and I caught one pretty much my first cast. We came right in here and I caught one pretty much my first cast throwing the whopper plopper. So I think I'm gonna stick with it a little bit. I'm also gonna get another cast down this side. Considering there's a bunch more laydowns down through here, I'm gonna go throw the whopper plopper next to every single one of them, because I got 2 fish doing the same thing. So now I'm gonna stick with it for a little bit and see if that's a deal. Oh, I missed one. They're up here on this bank. Now what I don't know is, could I go back through these pieces of wood with a different bait and catch more? It's very possible. But for right now, after catching a 5.5 pounder, throwing the plopper, I'm gonna keep the plopper in my hand and see if I can catch another 5.5 pounder. A lot of times fall fishing, you catch 3 or 4 fish like that and that's all you catch all day. There's all these lily pads back here right now. We did have that one bite, missed one other, but that was it. But there's some bait back here that I've been seeing swim around. The water has some depth to it because it's a big creek channel outflow. So I'm thinking there might actually be some fish in these pads. I'm gonna go ahead and flip them a little bit and we'll see what happens. There we go. Hey, the first pads we flipped. Let's go. We got another one. This canal might be juice. Another keeper, not a giant, not a 5.5 pounder, but as soon as we picked that up and switched from the top water, we caught one. So the top water kind of clued us in that there could be fish in here. Now we can pick some of this area apart. I think we're gonna get a limit right back in here. We've just got 2. And the other fish we caught was on the other outside of this canal. So all of our fish have come right around this canal so far. 132 puts us at 8.24 pounds. We're gonna throw him back and we're gonna get back in there and try and catch us another one. We might have to pick this stuff apart. I bet there was fish on those laydowns we fished and didn't catch anything or didn't get anything with the whopper plopper. I think if you get the perfect cast with the whopper plopper and get it in front of a nice fish, they'll bite it, but I don't think you're gonna catch every fish that lives back here throwing that. But it's a good way to find fish. I like throwing the search baits first, then slow down. Now that you have an area selected, you can kind of dial it in. That's kind of where I'm at this point in the figuring them out process. You got that one. Get out of there. Little guy, what is going on here? I caught a bobber, all kinds of stuff. Please be 12 inches, buddy. Right there, 12 inches. Tail is over, I'm counting them. He is counting. Let's get him on the scale. We only need one more. Unknown lake, and we might end up with a limit over 10 pounds. Not that that's a giant limit. 0.82 puts us at 9.07 pounds. So a 1 pounder and we'd be over 10 already. See, buddy. Then we'll want to do a little bit of calling. Oh, there was one in there. I scared him. Oh, there was one that chased it out. Got him. No, I lost him. That was sloppy. That was keeper number 5 too. I'm gonna go back to the plopper down this bank for a little bit because the pads stop. and it's all shaded and nice up here. I would love to get my 5th one to have it be like another 5-pounder. That would be insane. That fish came out of nowhere and smoked that. I'm throwing the wacky rig back. I'm gonna catch that one because he was a keeper. Man, I would have thought for sure he would have come back for the wacky rig. How's he not come back for the wacky rig? Got that one. Oh my gosh. Smallie. Smallmouth. That's why it was so explosive. This is like a 1.5 pound smallmouth, and I would have thought that was a 6-pounder. And the 6-pound largemouth I thought was a 1-pounder because they don't bite very hard on this. Not a little whopper plopper either. That was a 110. Catching smallmouth. And other fish too, small largemouth. That's gonna be fish number 5. Let's get him on the scale. 162. Puts us at 10.69 pounds, and then we got to do some culling. But not a bad one. We're gonna throw him back. We're gonna get back to it. I'm loving this whopper plopper bite. Turnover has definitely happened because these fish are starting to flood the bank. What'll happen is they'll get so shallow up here on nothing. They'll just kind of move up here because the bait's up here. That's where the bait wants to go. They get up there and chase it around, and then they obviously eat your topwater while they're up here too. A lot of times fall fishing can be tough, and it is. We've only caught 5 today, and we haven't caught any real big ones. Well, we caught one real big one, but nothing other than that. We've caught a lot of 12-inchers. But to get to go down the bank, throwing a topwater and flipping for them, and just hitting them with fun techniques and covering water, I'll take that all day long. I'll catch 10 fish if they're biting the fun stuff. And if you guys are enjoying today's video of me breaking down a lake I've never seen before, let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see more of this, we could turn it into a series. Maybe suggest another lake you'd like to see me go to, and we can add it to the roulette wheel for the next time around. I know this was the most requested video on my channel by far. A lot of you guys want to know, how do you actually find fish? And I want to try and do the best I can of showing you how I do the research, how I go to the body of water, use the information that I'm given, and decide to break down that lake in that manner to catch the most amount of fish. So if we continue to do that in a series, we can go to literally any possible lake ever and just continue the series of showing you how to break down bodies of water as I'm fishing through them and talking through what the different things are that I'm doing to help me find these fish. A giant just blew up on the bank way up there. Yes, he will. Oh, he's not a giant. But we got one. I think that's gonna cull one of our fish too. 0.90 for a 0.82 puts us to 10.77 pounds. Go ahead and throw him back and get back after it. And as always, I'll link all the gear in the description of the video, so if you guys want to check any of these specific baits out for the types of fishing that you do, it'll all be linked there so you can see exactly what I'm using today. Any of those links, then you purchase through them, it helps support the channel a ton to continue making videos like this. But so far, we've caught most of our fish on the 110 whopper plopper, and about another half of them have been on just a beaver, the 6 cents prawn with a 1/2 ounce tungsten weight that I have pegged on braid. Some of them I've been flipping way back in there and dragging it as I see them blowing up on bait in there. Other ones I've just been flipping it in the pads and kind of working it through. No! No! That was a giant one. No! Another giant smallmouth came up and bit that and missed. All right, so we're gonna make a little switch up here and actually go back down through that stretch that we just fished, because I think there's more fish there. One of my favorite follow-up baits when they're eating a topwater like that, specifically the whopper plopper, they really like that moving bait. I'm fishing around some shallow cover. I'm gonna throw a 3/8 ounce chartreuse and white jackhammer. The reason being, it still has the same motion. They're moving through the water and they look like bait fish, but it just goes under the surface. I have a feeling these fish don't want to break the surface with the sun up right now in the glass calm conditions. So they're coming up and chasing it, maybe pop it just a little bit, but they're not really getting the full bait in their mouth. All right, let's hope this works. We only got about 1.5 hours left on our timer here. If we could have got 2 of those smallmouth, I think those would have went a long way. Some of those smallmouth that blew up on that plopper, they looked pretty big. No way. What a decision. Immediately. I don't think he's gonna help, but like, I love when you just put all the pieces together. It feels so good. When you're like, oh, they're biting the top water, but not committing to it. So let's change to this, because they're not biting bottom baits. They don't want anything that hits the bottom. They just are not interested. Nope, doesn't help. Another keeper though. Throw him back. It's a good sign. To be able to pick that up and in 2 casts catch them, good, very good sign. I wish we would have spent a lot more time over here earlier instead of trying to run the pad thing and fishing that brush over there. Like, I know all that stuff looked good. When the fish give you an early sign like that, the problem is sometimes you got to decide if it's the right sign or not. And what had happened was I literally caught one on a plopper on my second cast on a bank that looked just like this, and then kept going, and I didn't get any more bites. And I assumed that it was just an early morning deal. Not, I happened to land on the exact pattern that the fish were doing for the day. Sometimes though, you guess correctly. You do your research right, and you do a look around like we talked about, and you can guess correctly and land right on them as soon as you start the day. And I think I did. I just happened to go do other things after I landed right on them was the problem. I just had another bite right there. There's one. This is nuts. He's not gonna help, but we made a magical decision. Little guy right there, we're gonna throw him back. One of these will be a big one. If there are gonna be this many little ones around, you're gonna land on one that's gonna be a big one. Well, I just fished through that canal with this chatterbait and I had 0. So this fish faked me out big time. Those couple that bit on that little bank over there. I don't know if it means they kind of want to stick towards the main lake more or what the deal is. I'm gonna throw it a little bit further down through here. But then if that doesn't work, we're gonna make a little move. I think if this doesn't work out, we're probably gonna go fish that brush briefly just to see if we can make anything happen on it. And then if that doesn't happen, plopper in hand the rest of the day. Okay, let's go fish some brush. Sun's high, water's warm as it's gonna be today. They might have moved out. With how high the sun is right now and it's all slicked off, I have a feeling these brush piles should have some fish in them. I know they have fish in them. I saw them in them earlier. They just didn't want to bite, but I'm thinking they might be willing to bite now with how calm it is. I don't think they are going to cooperate in the brush for me today. So I'm gonna get on this bank right here. Oh gosh, if I don't eject myself out of the boat off this brush. I don't know if we got really lucky on that first spot with this chatterbait and I just tied it on at the exact perfect time or what. I have not had a bite on it since. All right, with this last little bit of shade and our last 30 or so minutes, we're gonna try and go for the Hail Mary and catch us one on the plopper here, if we don't backlash first. Hopefully if we get one on this, it'll be an upgrade, which would be huge right now. Hopefully they're lurking in the shadows here. We only have 15 minutes left and we got us a whopper plopper, and that's what we're gonna do for the next 15 minutes. I am just gonna cover this bank right down through here in the shade line. This is where all the bait is, so the fish should be around. No. Well, unfortunately, we could not squeak out any more calls on the whopper plopper here, but we did manage to catch a limit on a lake that I have never seen before, and I really enjoyed making today's video. I love going to new places and just trying to put the puzzle pieces together and see what we can figure out. Maybe you find a new awesome spot, like catching a 5.5 pounder on a whopper plopper this time of year. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, let me know down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more videos coming up. And if you want to see another video where I break down a lake, going through my day on the water, showing you how and where I'm finding these fish, check this video out right here, and we'll see you on the next one.